A cleaning lady warned a millionaire, and the next morning a luxury car appeared at her house. In the glittering world of New York's elite, a simple maid stumbles upon a deadly secret. Now, she must unravel a web of lies that stretches from the city's darkest alleys to its highest towers. With each truth she uncovers, the danger grows. Trust becomes a luxury she can't afford, and every shadow hides a potential enemy. As she delves deeper into a conspiracy that claimed her father's life, Emily Sanders realizes that the line between ally and adversary is as thin as a knife's edge. In a game where powerful players will stop at nothing to keep their secrets buried, she must decide, is exposing the truth worth risking everything, including her own life? Prepare for a heart-pounding journey through a labyrinth of deception, where nothing is as it seems and the stakes are higher than Emily could have ever imagined. Will she become the hero her father always believed she could be, or will she be silenced like so many before her? The clock is ticking. The truth is waiting. And in New York City, secrets can kill. The Lux Grand Hotel stood like a glittering monument to opulence in the heart of New York City, its gleaming facade a stark contrast to the grimy streets below. For Emily Sanders, it was just another workplace, another reminder of a world she could observe but never truly be a part of. As she pushed her cleaning cart down the plush carpeted hallway of the 37th floor, she couldn't help but feel invisible, a ghost drifting through the lives of the wealthy and powerful. At 28, Emily had spent the last 5 years of her life working as a housekeeper at the Luxe Grande. It wasn't the life she had dreamed of, but it paid the bills and kept a roof over her head. Her father's death when she was young had left her, and her mother struggling. And now, years later, Emily was still trying to claw her way out of the pit of poverty that had claimed so much of her life. As she approached room 3701, Emily's mind wandered to the occupant. James Wilson, the billionaire tech mogul whose name was splashed across magazines and newspapers. She had never spoken to him, of course. People like James Wilson didn't speak to the help, but she had seen him from afar, always surrounded by an entourage of assistants and security, his presence commanding attention wherever he went. Emily knocked softly on the door, following protocol even though she knew the room was empty. Housekeeping, she called out, waiting a moment before using her keycard to enter. The suite was immaculate, barely touched since her cleaning the day before. These rooms were often like this, she mused, used more for show than for actual living. As she began her routine, dusting the ornate furnishings and replacing the already pristine towels, Emily's ears pricked up at the sound of voices from the adjoining room. The walls in the Lux Grand were thick, designed for privacy, but there was a faint echo coming through the air vent. Normally, Emily would have ignored it. Guest privacy was paramount in her job, but something in the tone, a sharp edge of urgency, made her pause. "It has to be during the trip, Ryan," a woman's voice hissed, low but intense. "We won't get another chance like this." Emily froze, her hand still gripping the duster. She recognized that voice. It belonged to Amanda Wilson, James's wife. Emily had seen her occasionally, a striking woman always dressed in designer clothes, her beauty as cold and hard as a diamond. I know, a man's voice responded, presumably Ryan. "But are you sure about this, Amanda? Once we do this, there's no going back." There was a pause, and Emily found herself holding her breath, straining to hear more. "I've never been more sure of anything," Amanda replied, her voice dripping with malice. "James has no idea what's coming. This trip will be the last one he ever takes." Emily's heart began to race, her palms growing sweaty as the implications of what she was hearing sank in. This wasn't just idle gossip or a lover's spat. This was a conspiracy, a plot to kill James Wilson. "What about the company?" Ryan asked, his voice tinged with worry. "Won't people get suspicious if he just disappears?" Amanda's laugh was cold and humorless. "Oh, Ryan, that's the beauty of it. We're not just going to kill him, we're going to destroy him. By the time we're done, no one will mourn James Wilson. They'll be too busy cursing his name." Emily's mind reeled. She should leave, she knew, pretend she had never heard any of this, but her feet seemed rooted to the spot, her body refusing to move as the conversation continued. "And you're sure we can pull this off?" Ryan pressed. "Trust me," Amanda purred, her voice suddenly softer, seductive. "I've been planning this for years. James thinks he's so smart, so untouchable. But he has no idea who he really married. Once he's gone, everything he built will be mine. And you, my love, will have everything I promised you." The sound of movement from the other room snapped Emily out of her trance. Panic surged through her as she realized how long she had been standing there, listening. Quickly, she resumed her cleaning, her hands shaking as she straightened the already perfect bedsheets. Her mind raced as she finished her work in record time, desperate to get out of the room before Amanda or Ryan emerged. What was she supposed to do with this information? Go to the police? But who would believe her, a mere housekeeper, accusing one of the most powerful couples in New York of conspiracy and murder? As Emily pushed her cart out of the room, she caught a glimpse of herself in the full-length mirror by the door. She looked pale, her eyes wide with fear. For a moment she hardly recognized herself. In the span of a few minutes, her world had shifted on its axis. She was no longer just Emily Sanders, invisible housekeeper. She was now the keeper of a deadly secret, one that could destroy lives, including her own. The hallway seemed to stretch endlessly before her as she made her way to the service elevator, her thoughts a chaotic whirlwind. She had always dreamed of escaping her mundane life, of finding a way to make a difference in the world, but not like this. Never like this. As the elevator doors closed behind her, Emily leaned against the wall, her legs suddenly weak. She had a choice to make, she realized. She could keep quiet, go about her life as if nothing had happened. Or she could act, could try to stop whatever Amanda and Ryan were planning. Either way, she knew with a sinking certainty her life would never be the same again. The whispers in the dark had shattered her world, and now, for better or worse, Emily Sanders was about to step into a dangerous game where the stakes were life and death. The elevator pinged, the doors sliding open to reveal the bustling hotel lobby. Emily took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and pushed her cart forward. Whatever she decided, she knew one thing for certain. Time was running out, and James Wilson's life hung in the balance. The sun was barely peeking over the New York skyline when Emily awoke, momentarily disoriented by her unfamiliar surroundings. The plush king-size bed, the floor-to-ceiling windows offering a breathtaking view of Central Park, it all seemed like a dream. But as the events of the previous day came rushing back, Emily felt a knot form in her stomach. This wasn't a dream, it was her new reality. She had just swung her legs over the side of the bed when a sharp knock at the door made her jump. Cautiously she approached, peering through the peephole to see a man in a crisp suit standing in the hallway. He held up a badge to the peephole. "Miss Sanders? I'm Detective Martinez with the NIPT. I need to speak with you regarding James Wilson." Emily's heart raced as she opened the door, her mind spinning with possibilities. Had Amanda made her move already? Was James okay? Detective Martinez was a tall, lean man with salt and pepper hair and eyes that seemed to miss nothing. He offered Emily a reassuring smile as he entered the apartment. "Don't worry, Ms. Sanders. Mr. Wilson is fine. But there have been some developments. May we sit?" They settled in the living room. Emily perched nervously on the edge of an armchair, while Martinez took a seat on the couch. He pulled out a small notebook, his expression turning serious. "Ms. Sanders, I understand you overheard a conversation yesterday that led you to believe Mr. Wilson's life was in danger. Can you tell me exactly what you heard?" Emily recounted the conversation between Amanda and Ryan, trying to remember every detail. As she spoke, Martinez's frown deepened, his pen scratching rapidly across the page. When she finished, Martinez was quiet for a moment, studying her intently. "You found yourself in a very dangerous situation, Ms. Sanders," he said finally. "What you've overheard, it's part of something much bigger than just a domestic dispute." Emily leaned forward, her curiosity overcoming her fear. "What do you mean?" Martinez sighed, closing his notebook. "There's been an ongoing investigation into the Wilson family for months now. Fraud, embezzlement, possibly even murder. Your information could be the key to breaking the case wide open." Emily's mind reeled. "Murder? Just how deep did this go?" "I don't understand," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "If you've been investigating them, why haven't you arrested Amanda already?" "It's not that simple," Martinez replied, his expression grim. "The Wilsons are powerful, with connections that go all the way up to City Hall. We need ironclad evidence, and until now we haven't had it. But with your testimony..." He trailed off, and Emily felt the weight of his words settle on her shoulders. She was no longer just a witness, she was now a key player in a high-stakes game. "There's something else you should know," Martinez continued, his tone softening slightly. "It's about your father, Thomas Sanders." Emily's breath caught in her throat. Her father had died when she was young, a tragic car accident that had left her and her mother struggling to survive. "What about my father?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Martinez leaned forward, his eyes meeting hers. "Your father and James Wilson were friends, Ms. Sanders. Close friends. They grew up together." The world seemed to tilt on its axis as Emily processed this information. That's impossible," she stammered. "My father was a construction worker. He never mentioned knowing anyone like James Wilson." "Because he was protecting you," Martinez explained gently. "Your father was more than just a construction worker, Ms. Sanders. He worked for Wilson's father, handling sensitive matters. But he got in too deep, saw things he shouldn't have seen." Emily's mind was spinning, memories of her father blurring with this new, impossible information. "Are you saying Are you saying my father's death wasn't an accident? Martinez's silence was answer enough. Emily felt as if the air had been sucked out of the room. Her entire life, everything she thought she knew about her past, was suddenly thrown into question. Why, she managed to choke out. Why are you telling me this now? Because you need to understand the world you've stepped into, Martinez replied, his voice grave. The Wilsons' influence runs deep, and now that you're involved, you need to know the stakes. Your father tried to expose them once, and he paid the ultimate price. Emily stood abruptly, pacing the room as she tried to process everything. Her father, James, Amanda, it was all connected, a tangled web of lies and betrayal that stretched back years before she was even born. Does James know? She asked suddenly, turning to face Martinez. Does he know about my father? Martinez nodded slowly. He knows. In fact, he's the one who asked me to tell you. He thought you deserved to know the truth. Emily sank back into her chair, her legs suddenly weak. James had known all along who she was, had recognized her name when she came to warn him, and yet he had said nothing. What happens now? She asked, her voice small and uncertain. Martinez stood, straightening his jacket. Now, Ms. Sanders, you have a choice to make. You can walk away from all of this. We can put you in witness protection, give you a new life far away from here. Or? Emily prompted, already knowing she couldn't walk away, not now. Or you can help us, Martinez finished. Work with us to bring down the Wilsons and their entire operation. It'll be dangerous, but it might be the only way to get justice for your father. Emily closed her eyes, taking a deep breath. When she opened them again, there was a new determination in her gaze. What do you need me to do? Martinez nodded, a hint of admiration in his eyes. For now, stay close to James, gain his trust, see what you can learn. But be careful, Ms. Sanders. James Wilson may not be the man you think he is. As Martinez left, Emily stood by the window, looking out over the city she thought she knew. Everything had changed in the span of 24 hours. She was no longer just Emily Sanders, the invisible housekeeper. She was the daughter of a man who had died trying to expose the truth, and now she had the chance to finish what he started. But as she watched the sun climb higher in the sky, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing on the edge of a precipice. One wrong move, and she could lose everything, maybe even her life. The game had begun, and Emily was now a player whether she liked it or not. The echoes of the past were rising, and she knew that before this was over, she would have to confront truths that had been buried for far too long. With a deep breath, Emily turned away from the window. It was time to prepare for whatever came next. Her father's legacy, and her own future, hung in the balance. The next few days passed in a blur for Emily. She found herself caught in a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, grief for the father she thought she knew, anger at the lies that had shaped her life, and a gnawing anxiety about the dangerous games life now. It was on the fourth day that James Wilson called, requesting her presence at his office. As Emily rode the elevator to the top floor of Wilson Tower, she steeled herself for the conversation ahead. The doors opened to reveal a sleek, modern office space with floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. James stood as she entered, his expression unreadable. Emily, he greeted, gesturing for her to take a seat. I assume Detective Martinez has filled you in on certain details. Emily sat, her back straight, eyes locked on James. You mean the fact that you knew my father, that his death wasn't an accident? Yes, he filled me in. James had the grace to look uncomfortable. He paced behind his desk, hands clasped behind his back. I owe you an explanation, Emily. Your father, Thomas, he was more than just an employee. He was my friend, my confidant. When he discovered what my father and Amanda's family were involved in, he wanted to expose it all. And they killed him for it, Emily finished, her voice tight with emotion. James nodded, his eyes clouding with what seemed like genuine remorse. I didn't know about the plan to silence him until it was too late. By then, I was in too deep myself. I've been trying to make it right ever since. Emily leaned forward, her gaze intense. Make it right how? James returned to his seat, leaning across the desk towards her. I've been gathering evidence, building a case against Amanda and her family, but they're careful, cunning. It's taken years to get even this close. He pulled out a file, sliding it across to Emily. This is what we have so far. Financial records, communication logs, witness statements. But it's not enough. We need more. Emily opened the file, her eyes widening as she scanned the documents. The scale of the corruption was staggering: money laundering, bribery, blackmail, and worse. Amanda's family had their fingers in everything from real estate to politics, using their wealth and influence to manipulate the system at every level. Why show me this? Emily asked, looking up from the file. James's expression was grim. "Because I need your help, Emily. You're in a unique position. Amanda doesn't know that you're aware of her plans. You could be our key to uncovering the evidence we need to bring her down." Emily felt a chill run down her spine. "You want me to spy on your wife?" "I want you to help me finish what your father started," James corrected. "To get justice for him, and for all the others they've hurt over the years." Emily was about to respond when a knock at the door interrupted them. James's assistant poked her head in, looking apologetic. "I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wilson, but there's an urgent call from the Tokyo office." James nodded, standing. "I have to take this. Emily, take the file, study it. We'll talk more later." As Emily left the office, her mind was reeling. The file felt heavy in her hands, weighted with secrets and lies. She was so lost in thought that she almost collided with someone in the lobby. "I'm so sorry I wasn't," she started, then froze as she recognized the man in front of her. It was Ryan, Amanda's lover and co-conspirator. Ryan looked equally surprised, his eyes darting nervously around the lobby. You're James's new assistant, right?" he asked, his voice strained. Emily nodded, forcing a smile. "Yes, that's right. Emily Sanders." Ryan's gaze lingered on her for a moment too long, as if trying to place her. "Ryan Thompson," he introduced himself. "I work with Amanda." "Listen, Emily, can we talk? Privately?" Warning bells went off in Emily's head, but she knew this might be an opportunity to gather information. Of course, she agreed, following Ryan to a quiet corner of the lobby. Ryan glanced around once more before leaning in close. "I know who you really are," he whispered. "I know you overheard Amanda and me that day in the hotel." Emily's heart raced, but she kept her expression neutral. "I don't know what you're talking about," she said evenly. Ryan's eyes flashed with a mix of fear and desperation. "Drop the act. Amanda knows someone warned James, and it's only a matter of time before she figures out it was you. You have no idea what she's capable of." "And you do," Emily countered, deciding to take a risk. "You seem pretty comfortable plotting murder with her." Ryan flinched at her words. "It's not that simple," he hissed. "I didn't have a choice. Amanda, she has dirt on everyone, including me. I'm in too deep to get out now." Emily studied him for a moment, weighing her options. "Why are you telling me this?" Ryan ran a hand through his hair, looking haunted. "Because I want out, and I think you might be my only chance. If you're working with James to bring Amanda down, I want in. I'll tell you everything I know." Emily's mind raced. This could be the break they needed, or it could be an elaborate trap. "How do I know I can trust you?" she asked. Ryan reached into his jacket, pulling out a small USB drive. "This contains financial records, emails, everything I've managed to collect over the past year. It's not enough to bring Amanda down on its own, but it's a start. Take it, verify the information. If you decide you can trust me, contact me through this burner phone." He pressed the drive and a cheap cell phone into her hand, then stepped back. "Be careful, Emily. You're playing a dangerous game, and Amanda always plays to win." With that, Ryan turned and walked away, leaving Emily standing there with her heart pounding. She slipped the drive and phone into her pocket, her mind whirling with possibilities and dangers. As she left the building, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. The weight of the file in her bag, the USB drive in her pocket, they felt like ticking time bombs. She had stepped further into this web of lies and deceit, and there was no turning back now. That night, as Emily pored over the files James had given her and debated whether to trust Ryan's information, she realized just how deep this conspiracy ran. It wasn't just about Amanda or James or even her father anymore. This was about a system of corruption that ran through the very heart of the city. And somehow, improbably, Emily Sanders, once an invisible housekeeper, now held the threads that could unravel it all. The question was, would she be able to pull them without destroying herself in the process? As she stared out at the glittering New York skyline, Emily made a silent promise to her father. She would see this through, no matter the cost. The truth would come to light, and those responsible would face justice. Little did she know, the most shocking revelations were yet to come. Weeks had passed since Emily's world had been turned upside down, and she found herself adapting to her new reality with a speed that sometimes frightened her. The luxurious apartment, the clandestine meetings, the constant undercurrent of danger, it was all becoming disturbingly normal. But what unsettled Emily most was her growing closeness to James Wilson. What had started as a wary alliance was evolving into something more complex, more intimate. She found herself looking forward to their meetings, hanging on his every word, noticing the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. It was during one such meeting, late one night in James's penthouse office, that Emily realized just how blurred the lines had become. "We're close, Emily," James said, his voice thick with excitement as he pored over the documents spread across his desk. "These financial records Ryan provided, they're the missing piece we needed. We can trace the money directly back to Amanda's family." Emily leaned in, her shoulder brushing against James's as she examined the papers. The contact sent a jolt through her, and she saw James tense slightly at the touch. Their eyes met, and for a moment, the air between them crackled with unspoken tension. James cleared his throat, taking a step back. "We should celebrate," he said, moving to the bar and pouring 2 glasses of whiskey. "To justice," he toasted, handing Emily a glass. "To the truth," Emily added, clinking her glass against his. As she sipped the burning liquid, she studied James over the rim of her glass. "James," she began hesitantly, "there's something I've been meaning to ask you." He raised an eyebrow, encouraging her to continue. "Why did you marry Amanda?" Emily asked. "If you suspected her family was involved in all this, why tie yourself to them?" James's expression darkened, and he turned to look out the window at the city below. "I was young," he said after a long pause. "Ambitious. I thought I could change things from the inside, use their connections to build something better. By the time I realized how deep the corruption ran, it was too late. I was compromised." He turned back to Emily, his eyes filled with a mix of regret and determination. "That's why this is so important. It's my chance to make things right, to undo the damage I've been complicit in." Emily felt a surge of empathy, stepping closer to him. "You're not responsible for their actions, James." "Aren't I?" he countered, his voice bitter. "I've turned a blind eye for years, Emily. I've profited from their corruption, even if I didn't actively participate. Your father, he had the courage to stand up to them. I didn't." Without thinking, Emily reached out, placing a hand on James's arm. "You're standing up to them now," she said softly. "That's what matters." James looked down at her hand, then back up to her face. The air between them seemed to thicken, charged with unspoken emotions. For a heart-stopping moment, Emily thought he might kiss her. The shrill ring of James's phone shattered the moment. He stepped away, answering with a curt "Wilson." Emily watched as James's face paled, his knuckles whitening as he gripped the phone. "When?" he demanded. "Are you sure?" A pause. "No, don't do anything. I'll handle it." He ended the call, turning to Emily with a grim expression. "Amanda knows," he said, his voice tight with tension. "She knows you're involved." Emily felt the bottom drop out of her stomach. "How?" "I don't know," James replied, running a hand through his hair. "But she's on her way here now. You need to leave, immediately." "No," Emily said, surprising herself with her firmness. "I'm not running. We face her together." James looked like he wanted to argue, but the determination in Emily's eyes stopped him. He nodded, moving to stand beside her as the elevator dinged, announcing Amanda's arrival. Amanda Wilson swept into the room like a storm, her eyes flashing with cold fury as they landed on Emily. "Well," she said, her voice dripping with venom, "isn't this cozy? My husband and the little maid who thought she could play hero?" James started, but she cut him off with a sharp gesture. "Save it, James," she snapped. "I know what you've been up to. Did you really think you could bring me down? That you could betray me and get away with it?" She turned her icy gaze to Emily. "And you've made a terrible mistake, girl. Do you have any idea what I'm capable of? What my family will do to protect our interests?" Emily stood her ground, meeting Amanda's glare. "I know exactly what you're capable of," she said, her voice steady. "That's why we're going to stop you." Amanda's laugh was cold and humorless. "Oh, you poor, naive child. You're in over your head. Both of you are." She pulled out her phone, tapping out a quick message. "I've just sent orders to have your mother picked up, Emily. Let's see how brave you are when her life is on the line." Emily felt the blood drain from her face, but before she could respond, James stepped forward, his expression hard. "That's enough, Amanda. This ends now." Amanda's smile was razor sharp. "Oh, it's far from over, darling. In fact, it's just beginning. You've chosen your side, and now you'll face the consequences. Both of you will." With that, she turned on her heel and strode out, leaving a wake of fear and tension behind her. As soon as the elevator doors closed, Emily turned to James, panic rising in her throat. "My mother is safe," James finished, already on his phone. "I had her moved to a secure location days ago, just in case." Amanda's bluffing. Relief washed over Emily, quickly followed by a wave of gratitude. "Thank you," she breathed. James nodded, his expression grim. "Don't thank me yet. Amanda's dangerous when she's cornered. We need to move fast now. No more slow plays." As they began to plan their next move, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they had just crossed a point of no return. The game had changed, the stakes raised to life and death levels. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a small voice whispered a dangerous question. In this world of shifting loyalties and blurred lines, who could she really trust? James, with his complicated past and murky motivations? Ryan, the turncoat with his own agenda? Or even herself, as she felt her own moral compass wavering in the face of growing feelings for a married man? As the night wore on and plans were made, Emily realized that in this web of lies and deceit, the truth was becoming harder and harder to discern, and the price of being wrong could be higher than she was willing to pay. The old Callahan estate loomed before them, a sprawling mansion of stone and shadow set against the backdrop of the Catskill Mountains. Emily's heart pounded in her chest as she peered through the binoculars, studying the seemingly deserted property. "Are you sure about this?" she whispered to James, who crouched beside her in the undergrowth. The cool night air carried the scent of pine and danger. James nodded, his face a mask of determination. "Ryan's intel checks out. The files we need are in Amanda's father's old study. This is our best shot at getting the evidence we need to bring down the entire operation." Emily handed him the binoculars, trying to quell the fear rising in her throat. In the weeks since Amanda's threat, they had been working tirelessly, following every lead, connecting every dot. This midnight raid on the Callahan estate was the culmination of their efforts, and quite possibly the most dangerous thing Emily had ever done. "Remember the plan," James said, his voice low and steady. "We get in, access the safe, and get out. No heroics, no detours. If anything feels off, we abort. Understood?" Emily nodded, drawing strength from his calm demeanor. Despite the complexity of their relationship and the lingering questions about his past, she trusted James. She had to. They moved silently towards the house, the shadows their only cover. Emily's heart raced as James expertly picked the lock on a side door, granting them entry to the sprawling mansion. Inside, the air was thick with dust and secrets. As they crept through the darkened halls, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. Every creaking floorboard, every whisper of wind through the old house set her nerves on edge. Finally, they reached the study. James made quick work of the lock, and they slipped inside. The room was a testament to old money and power, leather-bound books lining the walls, a massive oak desk dominating the space, and behind it, the painting that concealed the safe. "Keep watch," James murmured as he moved towards the safe. Emily positioned herself by the door, straining her ears for any sound of approach. The minutes ticked by agonizingly slowly as James worked on cracking the safe. Emily's palms were slick with sweat, her every sense on high alert. Just as she heard the satisfying click of the safe opening, a sound from the hallway made her blood run cold. Footsteps and voices. "James," she hissed urgently. "Someone's coming." James cursed under his breath, his hands moving faster as he rifled through the safe's contents. "Almost got it," he whispered back. The voices were getting closer. Emily's mind raced, trying to formulate a plan. Hide? Run? Fight? Every option seemed impossible. Just as the footsteps reached the door, James was beside her, a file clutched in his hand. "Got it," he breathed. "Now what?" The door handle began to turn. In a split-second decision, Emily grabbed James and pulled him into a searing kiss just as the door swung open. "What the hell?" a gruff voice exclaimed. Emily broke away from James, feigning surprise and embarrassment. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she gushed, playing the part of a ditzy party guest. "We were just looking for somewhere private and got a little turned around." The two security guards looked suspicious, but also uncomfortable. James, catching on quickly, wrapped an arm around Emily's waist. "Gentlemen," he said smoothly, "I don't suppose we could keep this our little secret. My wife wouldn't be too pleased if she heard about this little indiscretion." The guards exchanged glances, then the older one nodded grudgingly. "Just get out of here," he growled, "and stick to the designated areas." Heart pounding, Emily let James lead her past the guards and down the hallway. They maintained their act until they were out of sight, then broke into a run, not stopping until they were safely back in their car and speeding away from the estate. As the adrenaline began to fade, Emily became acutely aware of James's proximity, the lingering sensation of his lips on hers. She cleared her throat, focusing on the matter at hand. "Did we get what we needed?" James nodded, his eyes bright with excitement as he patted the file beside him. "This is it, Emily. Financial records, communication logs, everything we need to connect Amanda's family to the murders, including your father's." Emily felt a rush of emotions, relief, triumph, and a twinge of something else she couldn't quite name. "So it's over?" she asked, hardly daring to believe it. James's expression sobered. "Not quite. We still need to get this to Martinez, make sure it holds up in court, and Amanda won't go down without a fight." As if on cue, James's phone buzzed. His face paled as he read the message. "It's Ryan," he said, his voice tight. "Amanda knows we were at the estate. She's on her way to my penthouse now, and she's not alone." Emily's moment of triumph evaporated, replaced by cold dread. What do we do? James's jaw set in determination as he pressed down on the accelerator. We end this, once and for all. As they raced back towards the city, Emily's mind whirled. They had the evidence they needed, but at what cost? The kiss, a ruse to fool the guards, had felt all too real, awakening feelings she had been trying to suppress. And now they were heading straight into what could be a deadly confrontation with Amanda. Emily looked over at James, his face illuminated by the dashboard lights, and realized that despite everything they had been through, despite the trust they had built, there was still so much she didn't know about him. As they sped towards an uncertain fate, she couldn't help but wonder, in this final showdown, would James prove to be her salvation or her downfall? The New York skyline loomed ahead, a glittering promise of answers and dangers yet to come. Whatever happened next, Emily knew that by the time the sun rose, nothing would ever be the same again. The days following the raid on James's penthouse passed in a blur for Emily. She found herself sequestered in a nondescript hotel room for her own protection, according to Detective Martinez. But Emily couldn't shake the feeling that she was as much a prisoner as those she had helped to capture. On the third day, as Emily sat staring blankly at the muted TV displaying news coverage of the Wilson corruption scandal, there was a knock at the door. Martinez entered, looking haggard but determined. "It's time we talked, Emily," he said, taking a seat across from her. "There's more you need to know." Emily laughed bitterly. "More lies? More manipulation? Haven't I been through enough?" Martinez's expression softened slightly. "I know you feel betrayed, and you have every right to, but there are things about your father, about this whole situation, that you still don't understand." He pulled out a thick file and placed it on the table between them. "This is everything we have on your father's case. The real story, not the version you were told." With trembling hands, Emily opened the file. Photos, reports, and transcripts spilled out, a paper trail of a life she thought she knew, but clearly didn't. "Your father wasn't just a construction worker who stumbled onto some incriminating information," Martinez explained as Emily sifted through the documents. "He was an undercover agent, part of a task force that had been investigating the Wilsons and their associates for years." Emily's head snapped up, her eyes wide with disbelief. "What? No, that's impossible. I would have known." "Would you?" Martinez asked gently. "Think about it, Emily. The late nights, the secretive phone calls, the unexplained absences. Your father lived a double life to protect you and your mother." As Emily delved deeper into the file, a new picture of her father emerged. Thomas Sanders, decorated officer, skilled undercover operative, a man who had dedicated his life to bringing down one of the most corrupt and powerful families in New York. If he was undercover, Emily said slowly, trying to process this new reality, then his death, it wasn't just about silencing him, was it? Martinez nodded grimly. It was a message to anyone else who might try to infiltrate their organization. Your father got too close, discovered something so damning that the Wilsons were willing to risk exposure to eliminate him. "What was it?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What did he find?" Martinez hesitated, then pulled out a final document from his briefcase. "This is why we needed you, Emily. Your father encoded his final report, and we've never been able to crack it. But look at the margin." Emily's breath caught as she recognized her father's handwriting, for Emily's eyes only. "We think," Martinez continued, "that your father left clues that only you would understand. Clues that could lead us to the evidence we need to bring down not just the Wilsons, but an entire network of corruption that stretches from Wall Street to City Hall." Emily stared at the document, her mind reeling. Everything she thought she knew about her father, about her own life, had been turned upside down. Yet as she looked at the familiar handwriting, she felt a surge of connection to the man she had lost so long ago. "What about James?" she asked, surprising herself with the question. Despite everything, she couldn't quite let go of the man she thought she had known. Martinez's expression darkened. "James Wilson is complicated. He was deep in this, Emily, make no mistake, but he's been cooperating since his arrest. Claims he had a change of heart, wanted to make things right. And you believe him?" Emily couldn't keep the skepticism out of her voice. "I believe he's telling us what we want to hear to save his own skin," Martinez replied, "but the information he's provided checks out, including some things about your father's last days that weren't in any official reports." Emily's heart raced. "What things?" Martinez leaned forward, his voice low. "James claims that in the week before your father died, he tried to warn him. Says your father told him about a meeting, something big going down at the docks. James swears he tried to talk your father out of it, but my father went anyway, Emily finished, a lump forming in her throat. Martinez nodded. We found evidence of a large shipment that came in the night your father died. Whatever was on that ship, it was worth killing for. Emily sat back, her mind whirling with this new information. Her father, the undercover hero. James, the corrupt businessman with a conscience. And at the center of it all, a mystery that had cost her father his life and had now engulfed her own. What happens now? She asked, looking up at Martinez. The detective's gaze was steady, almost sympathetic. That's up to you, Emily. You can walk away from this. We can set you up with a new identity somewhere far from here. Or I can finish what my father started, Emily said, a newfound determination rising within her. Martinez nodded, a hint of approval in his eyes. It won't be easy, and it sure as hell won't be safe. But if you're willing, we could use your help decoding your father's final report. It might be our last chance to bring this whole corrupt system down. Emily looked down at the encoded document, her father's handwriting blurring as tears filled her eyes. She thought of the life she had lived, the lies she had believed, and the truth that had been hidden from her for so long. In that moment, Emily Sanders made a decision. She would not run, would not hide from the dangerous truth she had uncovered. She would stand and fight, would unravel every last thread of this web of deceit, no matter the cost. I'm in, she said, her voice steady and resolved. Tell me everything. As Martinez began to outline their next steps, Emily felt a strange mix of fear and exhilaration. She was stepping into her father's shoes, taking up his fight. And though the path ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, she knew one thing for certain. The truth, no matter how painful, was worth fighting for. And Emily Sanders was ready for battle. The safe house was quiet save for the soft rustle of papers and the occasional frustrated sigh from Emily. For days she had been poring over her father's encoded message, searching for any clue that might unlock its secrets. The walls around her were covered in notes, photos, and timelines, a sprawling map of corruption and deceit that seemed to grow more complex with each passing hour. A soft knock at the door broke her concentration. Martinez entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. Any progress? He asked, handing her a steaming mug. Emily shook her head, running a hand through her disheveled hair. It's like trying to solve a puzzle where half the pieces are missing. Every time I think I'm close to cracking it, I hit another dead end. Martinez nodded sympathetically. Your father was one of the best. He wouldn't have made it easy even for you. Emily's gaze drifted to a photo of her father pinned to the wall. Thomas Sanders smiled back at her, his eyes holding secrets she was only now beginning to understand. Tell me more about him, she said softly. About his work, his partnerships. There has to be something I'm missing. Martinez settled into a chair, his expression thoughtful. Thomas was exceptional. He had a way of earning people's trust, of seeing connections others missed. That's what made him so valuable undercover. And so dangerous to the Wilsons, Emily added. Exactly. But there was more to it than just the Wilsons. Your father believed he was on the verge of uncovering something much bigger, a network that extended far beyond one corrupt family. Emily leaned forward, intrigued. What kind of network? Martinez's voice lowered, as if he feared being overheard even in the secure safe house. We're talking about judges, politicians, CEOs, a shadow government pulling strings at the highest levels of power. The implications were staggering. Emily's mind raced as she tried to process this new information. And Amanda, where does she fit into all this? A grim smile crossed Martinez's face. Amanda Wilson is far more than just a socialite with a taste for power. Our latest intel suggests she might be at the very heart of this network. Her family's influence goes back generations, carefully cultivated and expanded with each passing decade. Emily's brow furrowed as she recalled her interactions with Amanda. The cold calculation in her eyes, the confidence that bordered on arrogance. It all made a chilling kind of sense now. What about James? Emily asked, unable to keep a hint of emotion from her voice. Despite everything, she still struggled to reconcile the James she thought she knew with the man who had betrayed her. Martinez's expression softened slightly. James Wilson is complicated. He's been cooperating, as I said before. But the more we dig, the more it seems like he was playing both sides long before you came into the picture. He pulled out a file from his briefcase, spreading several photos across the table. Emily recognized James in each of them, but the settings and the people he was with varied wildly. High society galas, clandestine meetings in dimly lit bars, even what looked like a secret rendezvous with her father. We think James was some kind of double agent, Martinez explained. Working with the network, yes, but also feeding information to your father. The question is, where did his true loyalties lie? Emily stared at the photos, her mind whirling. He told me he was a coward, that he should have done more to save my father. Martinez nodded. Maybe he was. Or maybe that's just what he wants us to believe. With James Wilson, it's hard to know where the lies end and the truth begins. As Emily continued to study the photos, something caught her eye. In one image, partially obscured by James's shoulder, was a familiar face. Wait, she said, pulling the photo closer. I know him. That's Ryan Thompson, Amanda's associate. Martinez leaned in, his interest piqued. Ryan's been a person of interest for years, but we've never been able to pin anything concrete on him. What do you know? Emily recounted her interactions with Ryan, his apparent betrayal of Amanda, his offer of help, and his ultimate reveal as a loyal player in Amanda's schemes. As she spoke, she could almost see the pieces starting to click together in Martinez's mind. Emily, he said slowly, I think you might have just given us the breakthrough we needed. If Ryan is connected to both Amanda and James, he could be the key to unraveling this whole conspiracy. Excited by this new lead, Emily turned back to her father's encoded message with renewed vigor. She scanned the document, this time looking for any reference to Ryan or the meeting in the photo. And there it was, hidden in a seemingly innocuous phrase about construction sites and building materials, a reference to RT, and a series of numbers that could be coordinates. I think I've got something, Emily said, her voice trembling with excitement and trepidation. Coordinates for the docks, the same docks where my father. She couldn't finish the sentence, but Martinez understood. He was already on his phone, barking orders to his team. As the safe house erupted into a flurry of activity, Emily sat back, her mind reeling. They were close, so close to uncovering the truth her father had died for. But as she looked at the photos spread before her, James, Amanda, Ryan, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real revelations were yet to come. The shadows of the past were long and deep, and Emily knew that bringing them to light would require more than just decoding a message. It would mean confronting painful truths about her father, about James, and perhaps most difficult of all, about herself. As Martinez outlined their next moves, Emily steeled herself for what was to come. The final pieces of the puzzle were within reach, but assembling them would require every ounce of courage and determination she possessed. The truth was out there, hidden in the shadows, and Emily Sanders was ready to step into the darkness to find it. The docks loomed before them, a maze of shipping containers and warehouses shrouded in pre-dawn mist. Emily's heart raced as she crouched behind a stack of crates, Martinez at her side. The coordinates from her father's message had led them here, to this specific warehouse on the waterfront. Remember the plan, Martinez whispered, his eyes scanning the area. We're here for reconnaissance only. If we're right about this meeting, we need solid evidence before we move in. Emily nodded, though every fiber of her being screamed to charge forward, to confront the people who had taken her father from her. The past week had been a whirlwind of preparation and anticipation. Ryan Thompson had been brought in for questioning, his carefully constructed facade crumbling under the weight of the evidence Emily had uncovered. His confession had blown the case wide open, implicating high-ranking officials and confirming the existence of the shadow network her father had died trying to expose. Now they were on the cusp of bringing it all down. But as Emily watched the warehouse, a nagging doubt gnawed at her. It all seemed too easy, too convenient. Years of deception and misdirection, and suddenly everything was falling into place. A flicker of movement caught her eye. A sleek black car pulled up to the warehouse, and Emily's breath caught as she recognized the figure that emerged. Amanda, she breathed, gripping Martinez's arm. The detective nodded grimly, speaking quietly into his radio to alert the backup teams surrounding the area. As Amanda strode towards the warehouse entrance, another car arrived. Emily's heart nearly stopped as James Wilson stepped out, looking haggard but determined. "What the hell is he doing here?" Martinez hissed, his hand moving to his weapon. Before Emily could respond, a third vehicle appeared, a nondescript van that she recognized with a jolt. It was the same type used by her father's construction company years ago. The pieces clicked into place with terrifying clarity. "It's a trap," Emily gasped, realization dawning. "They knew we'd be here. They're recreating the night my father died." Martinez's eyes widened in alarm, but it was too late. A sharp crack split the air, and Emily felt a sting in her neck. As darkness closed in around her, she saw Martinez slump beside her and shadowy figures converging on their position. Emily awoke to the sound of voices, her head pounding. She was inside the warehouse, bound to a chair. As her vision cleared, she saw Martinez similarly restrained nearby. And before them stood Amanda, James, and a man Emily recognized from photos as Ryan Thompson. "Welcome back, Emily," Amanda said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "I do hope we didn't interrupt your little stakeout." Emily struggled against her bonds, glaring at the woman who had caused so much pain. "Why?" she demanded. "Why go to all this trouble? Why not just kill us like you did my father?" A cold smile played across Amanda's lips. "Oh, my dear, your father's death was a regrettable necessity, but you're so much more valuable alive." "What are you talking about?" Martinez growled, straining against his restraints. It was James who answered, his voice heavy with what sounded like genuine regret. "Your father's encoded message, Emily. It wasn't just coordinates. It was the key to accessing offshore accounts, blackmail material, everything the network needs to maintain its grip on power." Emily's mind reeled. "But I never cracked the full code. How could you know?" "Because I helped him create it," James interrupted, unable to meet her eyes. "Your father and we had a plan to bring down the network from the inside. But something went wrong that night on the docks. You betrayed him." Emily spat, tears of anger and betrayal stinging her eyes. James shook his head vehemently. "No, I tried to save him, but by the time I got here it was too late. Amanda's people had already—" "Enough," Amanda cut in sharply. "The past is irrelevant. What matters is the future, and your father's legacy, Emily, is the key to securing that future." As Amanda spoke, Emily's mind raced. She recalled every detail of the encoded message, every conversation with her father, and suddenly, with crystal clarity, she understood. "You're wrong," she said, her voice steadier than she felt. "The message, the code, it was never about money or power. It was about truth." With a burst of strength born of desperation, Emily wrenched her arm free, revealing the small recording device hidden in her sleeve. "Everything you've just said has been transmitted to every major news outlet and law enforcement agency in the country." The color drained from Amanda's face as the implications sank in. In that moment of shock, all hell broke loose. Martinez, who had been quietly working on his restraints, burst free, tackling Ryan to the ground. James, in a move that surprised everyone, lunged for Amanda, grappling for the gun in her hand. Emily, her heart pounding, made a dash for the warehouse door. But as she reached for the handle, a shot rang out. Pain exploded in her shoulder, and she stumbled, falling to her knees. Through a haze of agony, she looked up to see Amanda standing over her, gun raised for a killing blow. But before she could pull the trigger, another shot echoed through the warehouse. Amanda's eyes widened in shock, and she crumpled to the ground, revealing James standing behind her, his own weapon smoking. As sirens wailed in the distance and the sounds of a full police raid filled the air, James rushed to Emily's side. "I'm so sorry," he murmured, pressing his hand to her wound. "For everything. Your father, he'd be so proud of you." Emily's vision swam, the pain and blood loss taking their toll. But as darkness crept in at the edges, she managed a small, defiant smile. "It's over," she whispered. "We did it, Dad. We did it." The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was James's face, etched with a mixture of relief, regret, and something that looked almost like love. As Emily slipped into unconsciousness, the warehouse erupted into chaos. The truth, so long buried in shadows and lies, was finally seeing the light of day, and though the cost had been high, Emily knew that her father's fight, now her fight, had not been in vain. The web of deceit was unraveling, and a new day was dawning for New York City, a day of reckoning, of justice, and perhaps of redemption. In a world shrouded in lies, the truth is both our greatest weapon and our heaviest burden. Emily's journey teaches us that the path to truth is never straight, and rarely easy. It demands courage to question what we think we know, strength to face painful revelations, and resilience to keep fighting when all seems lost. Like Emily, we all carry shadows from our past, misconceptions, betrayals, and unresolved questions that shape our present. But her story reminds us that these shadows need not define us. With each step into the darkness, with each layer of deception we peel away, we grow stronger, wiser, and more authentically ourselves. The greatest battles are not fought against others, but against the lies we tell ourselves. Emily's triumph came not just from exposing external corruption, but from confronting her own beliefs and biases. Her journey challenges us to look inward, to question our own narratives, and to have the courage to rewrite them when necessary. In the end, the most profound truth Emily discovered was not about conspiracy or corruption, but about the power of legacy and love. Her father's fight became her own, not through obligation, but through understanding and choice. This teaches us that our greatest strength often comes from those who came before us, whose struggles and sacrifices light the way for our own journey. Remember, in a world that often values comfort over truth, choosing to seek and speak the truth is a radical act of love, for yourself, for those around you, and for the world you wish to create. Like Emily, we all have the power to unravel the webs of deceit in our lives and to stand in the light of truth, no matter the cost. Your truth, your fight, your legacy, they all matter. Embrace them, for in doing so, you embrace the fullest, most authentic version of yourself. The steady beep of hospital monitors filled the air as Emily slowly opened her eyes. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow over the sterile room. As her vision cleared, she saw James slumped in a chair beside her bed, dark circles under his eyes, suggesting he hadn't left her side. "Welcome back," he said softly, noticing her stirring. "You had us worried for a while there." Emily tried to speak, but her throat was dry. James quickly offered her some water, supporting her head as she sipped. As the cool liquid soothed her parched throat, memories of the warehouse confrontation came flooding back. "Amanda?" she managed to croak out. James's expression tightened. "In custody. Along with Ryan and most of the network's key players. Your broadcast, it blew the whole thing wide open. The city's been in an uproar for days." Emily's head spun with the implications. "Days? How long have I been out?" "Almost a week," James replied, his voice heavy with concern and what sounded like guilt. "The doctors, they weren't sure you'd pull through at first." As Emily processed this information, a knock at the door interrupted them. Detective Martinez entered, looking exhausted but triumphant. "Good to see you awake, Emily," he said, offering a tired smile. "How are you feeling?" "Like I've been shot and unconscious for a week," Emily replied wryly, earning a chuckle from both men. Martinez's expression turned serious. "I know you've just woken up, but there are some things we need to discuss. The fallout from your expose, it's bigger than we could have imagined." Over the next hour, Martinez briefed Emily on the chaos that had erupted in the wake of her broadcast. Arrests had been made at every level of government and business. Protests had filled the streets as citizens demanded accountability. The entire power structure of New York City and beyond was being shaken to its core. "Your father would be proud," Martinez said softly. "You finished what he started, Emily. You've changed everything." Emily felt a swell of emotion at the mention of her father. "What happens now?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Martinez sighed, running a hand through his hair. "That's partly up to you. We'll need your testimony to secure convictions. And there's still the matter of the full contents of your father's encoded message. We believe there's more to it, information that could have even wider implications." Emily's gaze drifted to James, who had remained silent throughout Martinez's explanation. "And what about you?" she asked. "Where do you fit into all of this?" James met her eyes, his expression a mixture of remorse and resolve. "I've made a full confession," he said quietly. "Everything I did, everything I knew, it's all on record now. I'll face the consequences of my actions." Emily felt a pang in her chest. Despite everything, despite the lies and manipulation, she couldn't deny the connection she felt to James. He had been both her betrayer and her savior, and the complexity of her feelings towards him was overwhelming. "You saved my life," she said softly. James shook his head. "After endangering it in the first place. Emily, I'm sorry. For everything. I thought I could play both sides, make things right without getting my hands dirty. But in the end, I was a coward. It took your courage, your dedication to the truth, to show me what real integrity looks like." Martinez cleared his throat, seeming uncomfortable with the emotional exchange. "There will be a trial," he said, "for all of them. James's cooperation will be taken into account, but..." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Emily understood the gravity of the situation. The man beside her, the man she had come to care for despite everything, would likely spend years behind bars. As if reading her thoughts, James reached out, gently taking her hand. "It's okay," he said softly. "It's time I faced the truth. Just like you've been doing all along." Emily felt tears prick at her eyes. "What do I do now?" she asked, the question directed at both men but also at herself. "After everything that's happened, how do I just go back to normal life?" Martinez smiled kindly. "I don't think normal is in the cards for you anymore, Emily. You've become a symbol of truth and justice in this city. People are looking to you for leadership, for inspiration." The weight of those words settled on Emily's shoulders. She thought of her father, of the legacy he had left her. She thought of the lies she had unraveled and the truths she had uncovered. And she realized that her journey wasn't ending, it was only just beginning. "I want to help," she said, her voice growing stronger. "Whatever it takes to see this through, to make sure justice is served and the truth comes to light. I owe it to my father, to myself, and to this city." James squeezed her hand, a mix of pride and sadness in his eyes. "You're going to change the world, Emily Sanders," he said softly. "Just don't forget about those of us you leave behind, okay?" Emily felt a surge of emotion, gratitude, sorrow, and a fierce determination. As she looked between James and Martinez, she knew that her life would never be the same. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with challenges and responsibilities she was only beginning to understand. But she was ready. Ready to face the truth, no matter how difficult. Ready to fight for justice, no matter the cost. Ready to step into the light and become the person her father had always believed she could be. As the sun continued to stream through the hospital window, Emily Sanders made a silent vow to honor her father's memory, to protect the truth he had died for, and to use her newfound voice to make a difference in the world. The web of lies had been unraveled, but the work of rebuilding, of creating a world based on truth and justice, was only just beginning, and Emily was ready to lead the way. Thank you for joining us on this thrilling journey through Emily's story of truth, deception, and redemption. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this tale. What moments touched you, surprised you, or made you reflect on your own life? Even the simplest comment can spark meaningful discussions and help us understand how stories like Emily's resonate with you. Whether it's a single word, a favorite quote, or a deeper reflection, your perspective matters to us. If you enjoyed this story and want to experience more captivating narratives that challenge, inspire, and entertain, please consider subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you'll ensure you never miss our latest stories, discussions, and explorations of the human experience. Your engagement helps our community grow and allows us to continue bringing you compelling content that sparks imagination and touches hearts. So take a moment to share your thoughts below, hit that subscribe button, and join us for more unforgettable journeys through the power of storytelling. Remember, every voice adds to the story, including yours. We can't wait to hear from you.